So you guys might have heard about this bioterrorism, China smuggling some...
Agro-terrorism.
Agro-terrorism, so that's what they're calling it.
So, it's aggressive terrorism.
Yeah, and it's agriculture.
I know that.
Aggressively agriculture.
Yes.
So basically, I don't know why, the people are talking about, but not enough. Yo, give you a preface. China trying to bring in a fungus that would wipe out our grain production and our food production maliciously.
Yes,
Okay?
and affect livestock and humans.
And humans to potentially
Cause
make them sick.
reproduction issues, liver damage.
Yes. It's not a little thing. Remember
No.
COVID?
Yeah.
No, it was a big deal. Treat this as a big deal too.
Yes.
Okay. Should we read what happened?
So the FBI arrested somebody called Jian, in connection with allegations related to Jian and Liu's smuggling into America the fungus called Fusarium
graminearum.
There we go. Which scientific literature classifies as a potential agro-terrorism weapon. This noxious fungus causes head blight, a disease of wheat, barley, maize, and rice, and is responsible for billions of dollars in economic losses worldwide each year. Causes vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive productive defects in humans and livestock.
This fungus is a weapon that kills food, people, and animals. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say this. You might have seen the headlines. We found a deep, deep connection to something terrifying. Where I think we're onto something.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. We all know this is a bad chemical. I'll make it smaller. We all know this is a bad fungus, sorry. This is a very bad fungus.
Isn't it menacing looking?
Yeah, it looks
like a dark Pac-Man.
Dark Pac-Man about to eat all your stuff.
So FHB is what we can call it.
Yes,
from now
we'll call
on.
it
And
FHB.
it's one of the most significant and destructive
creates
diseases.
It can cause FHB, yeah.
Affecting wheat crops all over the world. So this is wheat makes bread. Wheat makes our food, grains, right?
Yes.
Grain is like it's a staple of American food. You know, one of the huge things you have to understand is that America is one of the reasons it's so successful is that it is food self-sufficient. There are very few countries in the world that can say that, right?
Yes.
So we're kind of like separated from all of our adversaries by oceans, and we're food self-sufficient.
Yes.
What would be a great way to hurt us?
Well, destroy our food supply. We're going to talk about that a little bit in depth, but let's go back to the beginning. So what we have is a woman, a Chinese woman who is currently at the University of Michigan.
That's right.
Okay. And she is using the lab there. She's, doing research in the lab. She has a boyfriend.
Yes.
Who also was previously doing research in the same lab.
Yes. But lives in China now.
Yes. Yeah. Turns out that both of them are connected to the CCP. She is a Communist Party member herself. And she had been funded in China by the Chinese government to do research on this particular fungus. Okay. Right. And then she went to the US to study and start working in the University of Michigan in the lab there.
So the TLDR there, Chinese woman is working in a lab in the University of Michigan, and she's not supposed to be doing research on a deadly fungus.
You're not allowed to research that fungus.
It's a bioweapon.
Yeah, you're not allowed to bring that into America. So anyway, the roots of the case involving the Chinese scholar and her boyfriend stretch to March 2024. That is when Liu applied for a B2 tourist visa to enter the US. Okay, so he went for a tourist visa, obviously because he wants to see the Statue of Liberty in the Grand Canyon, right?
That's of course. Of course.
The application asks, do you seek to engage in espionage, sabotage, export control violations, or any other illegal activity while in the United States? Liu answered, no, and officials approved his tourist visa. So he arrived at Detroit Metro 4 months later in July of 2024. During an inspection, an officer found a hidden note in Chinese, a round piece of filter paper, and 4 baggies filled with small clumps of reddish plant material.
So that sounds like you're trying to get something in, right? But you don't know if it's nefarious yet until you see the messages.
Yeah, well, I mean, it turns out that, by the way, that the reddish plant material that was in the little baggies was infected with that fungus.
Correct.
That bad fungus, okay?
Right.
Liu lied when asked questions about the materials, according to the court filing, saying someone must have put them into his bag.
It's not my drugs. Yeah.
Yes.
That old bit.
After further questioning, he acknowledged that the materials were different strains of the pathogen Fusarium graminearum.
So I saw, what's interesting? I saw CCP pushback, and this is I wanted to inject a little bit of PSYOP counter PSYOP I saw from China.
Yeah,
they were trying to say, what are you talking about? FSB, right? This fungus is native to America. So why is this an issue, right? Key word here, different strains
Yes.
of the pathogen. What do you think they were doing? Think about COVID.
Yeah.
There are lots of viruses that will affect humans from animals, right?
Yes.
But what were they doing in that lab? They were manipulating the virus
Yes.
to make it more contagious, right?
Yes.
To gain a function, right?
Yeah.
In this case, you have a fungus with different strains of a fungus that could do very different and more powerful things.
Well, here's the thing. He also said, he had admitted to them that he planned to clone the different strains
Right.
and make additional samples if the experiment on the reddish plant material failed, according to them. So he's on a tourist visa. He's coming into America on a tourist visa with these highly infectious fungi, you know, inside these baggies, different strains of them, to go and clone them in America.
Yes. Take us out so we can see the pictures of these guys.
I'll put that there. You can see for a minute. Okay. Gets more nefarious, of course.
Much scarier.
Yeah. Leo stated that he intentionally hid the samples in his backpack because he knew there were restrictions on the importation of the materials. By the way, he put them in like a used tissue.
Yeah.
So it looked like he'd blown his nose in there or something, and so they wouldn't look into it, but they did. Okay. The agent wrote, Liu confirmed that he'd intentionally put the samples in a wad of tissues so CBP officers would be less likely to find and confiscate them.
That's Border Patrol.
Yeah. And he could continue his research in the United States. Why is he continuing research on a tourist visa?
Yeah, so what happens is he flies in, and they're like, little sus, right? This is what is in 2024, right? Last year. And he's like, I'm on a tourist visa, so I got to make sure they don't think I'm bringing anything in, right? So then all of a sudden he's got these samples. Oh, they're not mine.
Yeah.
Okay, they're mine.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Leo told investigators he planned on using the University of Michigan's Molecular Plant Microbe Interaction Laboratory to research the biological materials. The FBI agent wrote, that is the same lab where Jian conducts research on Fusarium. So
See how the links are coming in.
Yes, exactly. So Leo stated that while he was in the United States, he would have free access to the laboratory at the University of Michigan on some days, and that other days his girlfriend would give him access to the laboratory to conduct his research. So do you see how blatantly brazen the CCP is? They'll send people in on a tourist visa to conduct research on dangerous fungi. Freely in the laboratory in the University of Michigan. And as he said, he would have free access to it. And they do. Who's stopping them? If a guy turns up and he's like, hey, my girlfriend's here, and she lets him into the lab and he's doing research or giving her the samples, no one's there to say, hey, isn't this a little sus?
No one's going to go walk by and go look at him through the window and go, oh, he must be making a weapon of mass destruction.
Oh, like, oh, look, there's a CCP agent who actually is part of the Communist Party or tied to the Communist Party in our lab, in our university, on, you know, our soil, making something that will destroy our crops. You don't know that. But they rely on language barriers. They rely on the fact that people are too polite in America. They rely on the fact that if anyone questions them, they can pull the race card. You know, they can say like, oh, you know, you're being racist towards China or Chinese
Look at all the pushback against the increased scrutiny of Chinese students that the Trump administration is trying to do. Look at what they're doing. Look at what China's doing.
Yeah.
Keep going. It gets really bad.
Yeah. Let's see. Next, it's coming up. Eventually. The FBI said authorities found a scientific article on Leo's phone that was titled Plant Pathogen Warfare Under Changing Climate Conditions.
Ouch.
Okay.
Ouch.
Yes. So they like, because they obviously when they questioned him, they looked at his phone.
So if you're skeptical that these guys are working with handlers, like from the CCP, look at this. A week before arriving in the U.S., Leo exchanged messages with Jen. So Leo, the guy, sent messages to his girlfriend. We can say girlfriend. Yeah. It's a pity that I still have to work for you. Leo replied, once this is done, everything will be easy.
Yeah, everything else will be easy.
Does that not sound like when you're just this last heist? One more bank to rob.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everything will be taken care
Bring me these like deadly samples, all these different variants of these deadly samples. One more like, you know, score.
Yep.
And then it'll be easy, you know?
How is this not front page right now?
I don't know. I mean, why?
Wait till you see the connections, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on. A search of Leo's devices, so this is the woman, revealed messages between the couple that indicate Jian previously smuggled biological material into the U.S., the FBI agent wrote. The messages from August 2022 discussed smuggling seeds into the U.S., Where to put it, Jian wrote. Just put it in your shoes, Liu wrote. I stuffed them in the shoes, Jian wrote. Travel records show that one day after the couple exchanged the messages, Jian arrived in San Francisco from South Korea. She did not declare she was importing biological materials, according to the FBI. So, I mean, they're smuggling random seeds in their shoes.
They've been tasked with doing this before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those seeds could have been infected with anything. Okay, those seeds could be invasive species. Those seeds could be anything you don't know. They've been smuggling things in before, and who knows what else they've smuggled in the past, right? It's pretty bad. Let's see, next. The investigation intensified 4 months ago in February after Donald Trump assumed the presidency. That is when FBI agents interviewed Jian and at the University of Michigan lab. She made several false statements, according to the government. She denied knowing her boyfriend planned to study in the U.S. or bring biological materials into the country, the FBI agent wrote. She also denied helping Liu's research on that, Fusarium, geranium, graminarium. Okay. During the interview, FBI agents asked her to provide her cell phone. She refused. But investigators seized it and searched the device after obtaining a search warrant. The search uncovered a form signed last year that included Jian's pledge to support the Chinese Communist Party, according to the FBI. The search also revealed a conversation between Jian and another person in January 2024 that indicated prior smuggling efforts that included unknown substances shipped to the US that were hidden between the pages of a used statistics book. So not only is she getting her boyfriend to bring stuff on the plane, she's also getting people to ship her samples and who knows what in the post, in the US Post, stuck in the pages of a book which I believe they intercepted. We have a picture of it somewhere. Months later, in February, FBI agents visited Jian at the campus lab. She said 100% no when asked if she had been assisting Liu with the pathogen at the lab. The FBI said it found a signed statement on her phone expressing support for the Communist Party of China. Okay, we said that. Messages between the two in 2024 suggested that Jian was already tending to that fungus on the campus lab before Liu was caught at the Detroit airport. The FBI said the university does not have federal permits to handle it. So again, anyone who thinks that it's okay that she's already studying this or whatever, that lab is not allowed to study this fungus. It does not have the federal permits to do it. So she is doing illegal research.
And getting different strains of it.
She's doing illegal research in the USA on this fungus that could destroy the entire crop, performance of the USA. Decimate crops all around. And she's getting her boyfriend to bring those different strains in. It's
keep ridiculous. Because I want to posit a hypothesis.
Okay, sure.
Which I don't think enough people are bringing up.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's what they found, the hidden drawing, which is talking about it. This is the book. The book, destined for Jian's home in Ann Arbor, was intercepted by federal agents and analyzed by biological threat specialists in Kentucky. The samples were subsequently destroyed.
So they put who's going to open a statistic?
Yeah, look, I mean, who's...
Well, they did.
Who's first of all, I mean, who's reading a book like that?
Well, a student?
That? Can you even read that? It just looks... I don't know.
I mean, I can.
I just look at that and I just see a bunch of nonsense numbers. Anyway, the fact of the matter is you can see they had hidden samples in the book.
Yeah.
So she's been smuggling all sorts of crap from China into America, potentially very dangerous stuff. They destroyed the samples.
Yeah.
They didn't say what they were. They could have been terrible. Yeah, it could have been anything, right?
Yeah.
So destroying all the stuff that's been sent over, she smuggled this. She smuggled things in the past, right?
Yeah.
That book sucks. That's what she looks like without her face filters on and whatnot.
Yeah.
Just a reminder to anyone who's,
getting catfished.
Anyway, Jian and her boyfriend are charged with several crimes, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S., smuggling, making false statements to investigators, and visa fraud. The smuggling charge carries the stiffest penalty, up to 20 years in federal prison.
Just that charge.
Only that. But that's the stiffest.
Yeah, but that's wild.
You know what's unfortunate about that is the boyfriend is not in custody because they turned him around at the airport.
Yeah, so when he arrived and they found those baggies, they're like, you're out, Right, they sent him right back to China, so he's gonna go back. He's not gonna get punished.
Oh, he's
there.
fine. He's like living large. He's like,
no, I think his minders are probably his handlers are pretty mad.
I don't know. I think he's just like, well, now we'll just post it instead. And he's probably posting, those random things that people get like in their mailbox.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a second.
Yeah.
The FBI said, Kash Patel said, the case is a sobering reminder that the CCP is working around the clock to deploy operatives and researchers to infiltrate American institutions, target our food supply, which would have grave consequences, putting American lives and our economy at serious risk. I keep hearing news outlets kind of taking the approach of, look, the bad part is that she's illegally doing research on a dangerous thing in America. F your research. Let's use common sense.
Yeah.
And let's actually treat it as the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. A guy who has CCP ties and a girl who has CCP ties, right, flies over to America with deadly pathogen samples.
Yes.
Right?
Deadly to crops.
If they were doing research, you can do that research in America or in China, right? Mm-hmm. Why would you do clandestine research in America?
Especially
to grow it.
He said he was going to clone it.
Yes.
So they want to grow the samples. Where is Michigan?
In the center in the Midwest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where are all the crops?
In the Midwest.
There we go. So they're busy cloning this thing in the middle of where all the crops are, easy to distribute it.
The thing that kills all of those crops.
Yes.
How are people not putting this together?
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Exactly.
And you have conversations between them like, let's not be stupid here. They're acting like they have to pull off one last heist.
Yes.
This isn't like, we're going to crack the code and find out how to kill this fungus and we can save the world. No, they have CCP handlers that are probably telling them to go over here and cause a bioterrorism.
Also, why is a Communist Party member studying, doing research in a lab in America?
You're supposed to tell on your visa interview, do you have any ties to the Communist Party? She lied, that's visa fraud, right? She lied, you are part of the Communist Party.
Yes.
You're attached to the Communist Party, probably on a mission to destroy my country. I take that personally. I'm very happy they caught this. How many more do we have to deal with? Because guess what? This is tied to so much at the University of Michigan that we've uncovered.
We've found something out about the University of Michigan. And I'd say all universities in America have fallen prey to this. I don't think one has been left untapped.
If this doesn't open your eyes to the situation, then I don't know what will.
This is her student record from where's it, Zhejiang University? Which university was she in? But this shows that she got a scholarship from the government. So she all of her research was paid for by the government in China before she came to America. It shows that she is a Communist Party member. That's what that last little block is over there, right?
Yes.
And it's just her name and her gender. We took out her student number and all that. We don't want to, dox her student number for whatever reason. But yeah, that's just proving. But yeah, we just wanted to say, remember the mystery seeds China was sending random Americans? This is just...
nobody could crack it, right? They're like, why is this happening? People were getting seeds from China randomly mailed to them.
Yes.
Right?
They're back. And they are back. A couple months ago, people started receiving them again. Now, there are a couple of reasons why these seeds are being sent.
Packages containing mystery seeds from China are popping back up again, and one was sent to a home in Clute, which is in Brazoria County. We saw a string of these mysterious packages back in 2020. Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller says in the latest incident, unknown seeds and a liquid container were in the package. The Texas Department of Agriculture sending those items to the U.S. Department of Agriculture for testing. Miller now warning Texans to take any unknown packages seriously and reminding people, if you do get one, do not plant the seeds.
Yes, don't plant them. I think that's the most important thing. Look, a lot of those seeds were part of what's called brushing.
Why seeds?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, why seeds?
Dual use.
Yeah, it's dual use. Maybe they were testing to see if they were harshly cracked down or not. But the thing is, if you sent in infected seeds or invasive species that could wipe out a local crop or something, the chances are they're going to end up in the ground. Because here's the thing, even if you threw them in the trash, they go to the trash, whatever, the trash heap, and gets thrown in and they get crushed, like the packet gets torn, whatever. They could end up growing there. You never know, right? If you threw them in your backyard like Jack and the Beanstalk and you take,
compost
look,
pile.
Mom, I found these. It's like, you sold our cow for a bag of seeds and throws them out the window. You know what I mean? And if you try to plant them yourself, you could be, first of all, really causing a lot of trouble. But the fact that China's been sending these seeds is something to watch out for. Just a PSA, don't plant them. You never know.
No.
Whether this is related or not, it's a different story. But, China has got nefarious, stuff. Now, listen, we wanted to tell you a little bit about how China has already affected the crops in the USA and around the world, really. Now, this particular thing is called the Huanglongbing, and it's potentially not, I wouldn't say this was intentional.
Maybe not.
Maybe not intentional, but it was definitely caused by China. Mm-hmm. So there is this little bug which carries a bacteria, which ended up in America. And do you want to quickly read what it says?
Well, it's killed 75% of citrus production in Florida. So you're looking at a situation that's spread across the entire country.
Yes.
In the citrus producing areas, oranges, lemons, all that kind of stuff. It is devastating.
Yes.
75% of crops. Mm-hmm. It's already happened. So this new thing, think about this. It's almost like if this was unintentional back then, right? And it's currently wreaking havoc on America. China could look at this and say, well, we've already kind of got invasive, things to destroy crops in America.
Yes.
Why don't we actually do it on purpose?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because they saw how devastating this was. It decimated the citrus industry. And not only has it reduced citrus production by 75%, it's more than doubled production costs. Because now,
it's permanent, by the way.
If you want to grow citrus, there's so much more care you have to take. You need all these chemicals. There's a lot of steps you need to take you didn't have to do in the past.
No.
And this is the
it's called the greening illness.
Yeah. Which, destroys all the citrus plants. It's horrible. Yeah. So
we'll keep moving. We got some very serious.
Yeah, we do. I just wanted to say, like the lantern
flies from China.
Yeah, that is also absolutely devastated. Plants and crops all over. This is how it has affected America. So, these are just things that have come through on people's luggage. Maybe people bought clippings of trees to try and plant here. Who knows how they ended up in America? But this is a case of how something coming from China has already decimated crops and absolutely destroyed a lot of agricultural stuff in America. But now this other thing that they're trying to synthesize or clone in the lab, that is even worse.
What better way to weaken the U.S. is one of it. Again, remember? This is unrestricted warfare. In fact, I just did a video on this. Go check it out in the description. Mm-hmm. It looks like a book that was written to scare people about China. No, this was written by China.
It was written by China.
That book you're looking at is not a mock-up. That was written by 2 PLA soldiers.
Yeah, that's a real book. And PLA it's been translated. You can buy it now.
Colonels, sorry. 2 colonels in the People's Liberation Army wrote a book on how to destroy America.
Yes.
And what they do, they use economic, psychological, political, technological, societal, and cultural ways to destroy America. It's called Unrestricted Warfare. It says, we need to find better ways to kill America because it's so protected, right?
Yes.
We need to do it outside of just sending troops there.
Yes.
Right? And this is just poster child stuff of that, right?
You had a fantastic video about it.
Yeah, I just made it.
Yeah, which is linked below. I suggest everybody go check it out after this video.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's horrible, but this is definitely part of unrestricted warfare. Now, listen, the University of Michigan, where this woman was studying this fungus, which she wasn't allowed to be studying, this Communist Party member, it turns out the University of Michigan is like a...
It's like a hive.
It's a hotbed for CCP activity.
Yes.
All right. So there was a Chinese national at the University of Michigan who was charged with illegally voting in the 2024 election.
Which is a serious felony,
yes,
right?
You don't. I can't go and vote. I'm not an American citizen. You're not allowed to do that. He did it. He was charged. He had to surrender his passport as part of being charged.
Yes, go to the next page, because unfortunately, what happened was, we won't go through he voted legally, got arrested, got a new passport, and he ran away.
So, here's the thing. His passport was seized by the American government. He goes to the Chinese consulate, presumably, says, they took my passport, I need another one. They're like, sure, here you go. And then he just left.
Yep.
You know? Of course, the Chinese consulate knows about this. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't be issuing him a new passport. The fact that he was issued a new passport means that they colluded with him to get him out.
Yeah, what else happened at the University of Michigan?
Oh, a couple of things. All right? First of all,
this is weird.
5 University of Michigan students from China were charged amid FBI counterintelligence probe.
Yes.
They went to spy on over
Camp Grayling. We won't read the whole thing, but basically what happened was the U.S. was doing military training with Taiwan.
Like one of the biggest military trainings with the National Guard in Taiwan. They went there.
University of Michigan students.
They all
CCP
they
tied.
all like drove up there to this place. They took drone footage, took photos with their cameras, all this kind of stuff, right? And then when they got caught, they're like, "No, we're just on holiday." Whatever, something like that. I'm just taking holiday photos, but all the photos and all the footage was of the military training. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Why? University of Michigan. Isn't that interesting? So you've got an illegal voter, 5 Chinese nationals, University of Michigan students, get arrested for espionage or charged. I think they've all fled, by the way. They were like,
They have warrants out.
yeah, but as usual, America's like, wow, you've been caught espionage. So here's the thing. Just turn up in court like maybe in a couple months. And by then they're in Beijing already. That's got to change. I think if you catch a foreign national spying, you should keep them in custody.
Yeah, until
you've actually been able to put the court proceedings. Anyway, it seems like they've all escaped to China as well. But okay, there's 5.
That's not it. University of Michigan.
Doesn't stop there. Okay, those are the 5
just the
nationals.
details, yeah.
Okay.
They're not in custody. Arrest warrants have been issued, and the group will be arrested if found by federal authorities. Continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out here that the 5 Chinese nationals were undergraduate students at the University of Michigan in a joint program with the Shanghai Jiaotong University in Shanghai.
Yeah, so a lot of these things, if you look into it, a lot of these arrests/suspicions of students at the University of Michigan that are CCP tied came under the Shanghai Jiaotong University cooperation. So a lot of these universities have sister schools in China.
You know this cooperation? I wonder how many Americans are there.
I can tell you there's 270-something thousand Chinese students in America under these cooperations.
Yes.
And there's 800 American students
Yeah, but in
total.
this particular Shanghai thing, there's
Handful?
probably like none.
Handful?
I think there's none.
Yeah, maybe.
I honestly think there's none. I think what happens is like the professors probably go there once a year to go drink baijiu and look at some arts and crafts or something, and then that's it.
Yeah, or there could be a couple. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, anyway. So anyway, this Zhekai Xu, whatever, they're the names and the ages of them all. Like they're all in their 20s, these espionage dudes. So those are the 5.
You could call them spies, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, he's just an espionage dude.
You're belittling.
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
Right?
3 months later, Xu Taozhu Liang arrived at Chicago O'Hare International Airport aboard a flight from Iceland. FBI agents were waiting for them. Blah blah
Yes,
blah.
this is part of the story. I just wanted some.
We do
media.
have the links down below,
everything's
right?
linked
Okay.
below.
Now here's another one. 2 Chinese students arrested for bypassing Navy base,
I want to ask.
taking pictures.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Where were these students studying?
University of Michigan. So these 2, this particular Key West, Florida base has been a target of the CCP.
Big time.
Lots of Chinese students have been caught trying to sneak in there and take photos and stuff.
Because China right now is trying to get Xi Jinping said their military has to surpass America. So they will literally throw everyone under the bus, create spies out of students, and make sure they can steal every bit of technology.
Yeah. So what happened here, I don't know if we have the write-up or not, but I do know what happened is, okay, this is the affidavit. You had these 2 Chinese students from the University of Michigan. They turned up. The sergeant at arms asked them, hey, where's your military ID? You cannot come onto the base without a military ID. And they were like, we don't have one.
How brazen is what happened?
So she says, okay, show me your driver's license. I show the driver's license. She said, do a U-turn. And, you go over there, U-turn over there and leave. So they just drove straight.
They literally said, nah.
Nah.
And they drove into the base, did their espionage.
By the way, because she couldn't leave her post. Okay, so she had to radio in, hey, listen, there's this car that's just gone in, this blue Hyundai. It's in there. These guys just blasted through. It took them 30 minutes to find them.
Yeah.
Because they're messing around on there.
Yeah.
And when they found them, they had cameras and cell phones and they'd taken tons of photos of the buildings and the various things that they're not supposed to. And they admitted that they could fully understand, read, and write English. So it wasn't a language barrier.
Nope.
So the University of Michigan's Chinese students, another 2 doing espionage again. But again, they're just like blatantly driving on it.
This is only the students that have been caught.
Oh, yeah. Tons of them just kind of just go in and taking photos and stuff. Finally, the University of Michigan is to end the joint institute with the Chinese university, that Shanghai one. But this is the select committee of the CCP, great organization.
Yeah, and a great thing that they pushed forward.
Yes.
This is just the beginning. Because think about it. This is one school.
Yes.
How many universities with how many Chinese students are there? Again, I'm super keen on having Chinese students study things that are not research oriented, like, that are sensitive to national security in America. That's fine, right? But do you see what happens here? The Chinese government has a law in 2017, National Intelligence Law, says that they can mobilize any student in China and they legally have to report and do things that they tell them to do in America.
By the way, I did a little bit of research. The Confucius Institute opened up in the University of Michigan. I can't remember when it was, 2004 or
2009.
was it 2009? Yeah, 2009. And that's always how it starts. Let's do a cooperation. Let's do, we'll teach you some culture or whatever. They get into the school. They had very high-profile Communist Party members come to the school to do like speeches and to do dances and like music, cultural stuff. It's all under culture. But then they infiltrate. Then they start to make connections. Then they start to take over anything that has anything to do with discussion around China. So if you're going to have an event that discusses Chinese culture, it's going to be the Chinese Communist Party that's going to be, steering that whole thing. I looked into a lot of the professors and a lot of the people involved. Sus. I can't make any allegations, so that's why I haven't put it in here. It's like I cannot find definitive proof. But every time the Confucius Institute was involved, that's usually how it gets started. Now, running concurrently with the Confucius Institute was this joint program with that Shanghai University as well. So once you get the people in there, they're going to start pulling strings and they're going to start influencing more and bringing more of these like partnerships, which they're always like, let's work together kind of things. But guess what? It's never about working together. It's always one-sided. That's why you'll have all of these espionage things happening. Do you think in your wildest dreams that you've got American students in that Shanghai University going around doing espionage, going onto military bases, taking photos, researching, bringing in fungus that could destroy all of the rice in China.
Supposed to.
Yeah.
That's
to like try and clone it in a lab in China. No, it's not a joint thing. No. It's a let's take what we can and if they ask us about it, we'll let them come and see like a Peking opera or something. It's rubbish. And this is all universities around the United States have got some or other.
So much more to cover. We got to keep going.
Thing. Anyway, we just wanted to point out that this whole like pathogen, this whole agro-terrorism thing is just the beginning. Right? It's just a small thing.
I remember you lift my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember.
I have such an irrational hatred for these guys.
I'm with you on that. There is a girl who stands there looking over your shoulder. She does nothing else. Dude's underwear that's hanging up to dry in his truck. They're destroyed.
This is called the Hornus of Death.
Okay. And there's the dessert. It's like
they think that you lose all your heat through your head, so it's most important to cover your head. It's not true at all.
Maybe if you go mess with the nest, then the bird doesn't want to return to the nest.
That's actually not true, though. The Chinese ain't do Tiananmen Square. I did.
Okay.
That's when
this is pretty funny.
That's when I knew I had to understand this man.